You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime. You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Handy for that lovely introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're having a great weekend. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. This is season 13, episode 18 of the podcast. And in this episode, we are talking about WNBA free agency. I've said in many videos. There's some things to say up front. The Maryland Terrapins sometime either this evening, if not tomorrow at the latest. A couple things. Maryland, the women played today. It was senior day. We beat Illinois. The men played Saturday night and won. Can't think of who their next opponent, so be on the lookout for the whole video recap. That's probably going to be like at least a 30-minute, 40-minute video. I got some things out my chest on both teams. The Super Bowl, we all know probably the post recap of it will out either Monday, Tuesday, mostly Monday at the latest, and have it go up Tuesday. Season talk, where give feedback on the season, what each team needs to do for the NFL offseason. I will do it by division. I haven't decided yet which division to start with, so that'll be recorded as well. We are getting ready for the Big Ten tournament, and we're also getting ready for March Madness. So be on the lookout for that as well. And then we have the NFL Mock Draft 2.0 and have the WNBA 2.0 Mock Draft. So be on the lookout for those things. But in this, not do this alone. A good friend of mine, good buddy, Brenden Potts, who hit me weeks, saying, hey, when are we doing a WNBA free offseason free agency episode for your podcast? I said, sure, come on the podcast. So opportunity, give a warm welcome back to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, Brenden Potts.
Hey guys, it's good to be back.
Brenden, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about WNBA free agency, and we're about to get into a wild ride.
Definitely a wild ride for sure. This off-season free agency so far, it's only been the first two weeks, and it's been an interesting one. I feel like I'm just going to get off my chest. We all know the two winners by default are New York and Las Vegas. without a shadow of a doubt. I am not a fan of super teams. I don't think is a good look for any league, and particularly with the amount of criticism that the WNBA gets on a basis. I have concerns with how the media is going to paint New York and Las Vegas. I have questions on that, but that's a whole other subject for another video. Um, when I do look at the rest of the league, there is competition. There is a lot of players that are ready, but the competitive balance for me, and I'll get to you in a sec, Brenden. I just think that for me, super teams don't work, and it's shown. It can work, but there's got to be some sacrificing. To me, super teams, like we look at, are built through the draft, and then you get some free agencies. But Brenden, I'm coming to you. What do you think? Do you think that this free agency has changed? Do you think super teams are good, particularly for the W?
I think it's something new, especially for this generation of WNBA fans. I think it's a new way to go about it. Now, new doesn't necessarily mean good, and that's in terms of a competitive balance, and you want to keep the league competitive and interesting to watch. It doesn't help that there are two front running teams on paper, and but at the same time, it's just on paper at the end of the day. And I was doing a media call with one of our new additions for Seattle, and she was asked about super teams, and she was just like, "We don't know. We can speculate all we want on what these teams are going to look like, but at the end of the day, we don't know until the ball tips off on the court." So that's kind of where I stand. But it'll be interesting to watch how these two teams gel. And it's I guess you can form your opinion on which could go wrong or could thrive. Which, like you said, it could go either way.
I agree with that. I just we gotta see what it looks like once the season starts. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of free agency. For me, actually, Brenden, I'll start with you. Who would you consider the winners? Well, I already kind of gave it away, but in your opinion, who do you think the winners and losers are for this free agency?
Yeah, I think the two biggest winners are New York and Las Vegas. But I also want to add to New York. You can actually make the case for Vegas too. Their fans. And I'll go into New York first. They called this type of not quite this type of an off season, but they kind of called the border of this off season last year, before last year even started, and we'll get to that in later in the show. But they called it even when some other fans were in denial, and it eventually went New York's way, and you got to give it to them. I put Vegas and their fans in that conversation because they're getting better from a championship team. So that's where I give them credit. But I mean, I think an underdog winner besides the big two obvious ones. I'd probably say I'd probably say Dallas is one. I think they're very interesting. I think they're less of a train wreck than they were last year. Obviously, we got to see what they look like on the court, but I one of the additions that I really like for them is Natasha Howard. So
as you bring up Dallas, I mean, for me, the obvious two winners are New York and Las Vegas. New York, I thought the addition of Jonquel Jones, three, Jonquel is going to New York, Kayla Thornton, Crystal Dangerfield, and Natasha Howard are going to Dallas. And then Connecticut's getting Rebecca Allen and Ty Harris in the 6th overall pick. My concern is now you have to address your point guard situation, and that for me is the key. Now you traded Jasmine Thomas, who we'll get into the Sparks a little bit. I think that the point guard. Now I do think if you're, it is fair. I did say a C plus. I would like to see some other moves. But you cored Brianna Jones. That was big. But you've also made it clear that Alyssa Thomas is now the face of your franchise. Let's keep it real. When Alyssa Thomas was inserted back to that starting lineup, the touches on the ball in Connecticut was getting lesser. And you could just see body language. It showed. Jean-Claude had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And I think now she's going to be on a team where the focus is not just going to be squarely on her shoulders. We will get into the other player in Brianna Stewart, but for now we're focusing on Jonquel. They're getting a score volume shooter, an MVP, and also all first team and second all defense. For me, when I look at New York, the biggest thing that was I saw was their defense. But you're getting Kayla Thornton, who also for me is a tremendous, tenacious defender, great rebounder. I think they addressed their defense. Now, I still have questions for New York from the standpoint of Nayara Sabli, and they just signed Sky Cone. So that is a crowded front court. I'm gonna get your thoughts. You touched on Vegas. I gave Vegas an A. What are your thoughts on their moves?
I mean, they kind of did the same thing as New York did. They got better and then they rounded out their team, but they kept the core players that won them a championship, and I think that was big. I was not the biggest fan last year of Asia Wilson playing the 5 heading into the season. I was wrong, and I have Becky Hammond to thank for that, and I will gladly thank Becky Hammond for that. I'm very interested to see who plays the 4 in Vegas, whether it's newly acquired Candace Parker or Asia Wilson, and on the other side, who plays the 5 in Asia Wilson or Candace Parker. And I think it's very interesting that Candace Parker is getting the best of both worlds in this signing, both family wise and still competing for a championship. It's very I can't really find the word for it, but it's just really weird to see or to think about. Like, Candace Parker almost retired this last year, and now she's fighting to win another championship and has a really good chance on a starting role, no less. And Vegas did really well for their team, and I want when people think about their their team, especially their starting lineup. We're forgetting about Jackie Young. The core is like Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, Candace Parker, all great players. But Jackie Young is a very important piece for their team, and she shouldn't go unnoticed.
I agree with that. I mean, she was most improved player, far as shadow of a doubt. And I'm all in agreements with that with Las Vegas. They did all the necessary things. I think a couple things. You had roster, especially Pete. To see Asia or Kelsey or Jackie play 35 minutes, because that's exhausting. And they did in a trade. They traded Dearica Hamby to Los Angeles for Amanda Zawi, and in turn of that, traded Amanda to Washington, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think they did. I think they still have some work to do. Can't remember where they're at, particularly in the draft at the top of my head, but I think getting Candace Parker is big. She's still, to me, give you max effort every night. She talked about it in the presser, her introductory press conference. Like you stated, the reason why she went to Las Vegas, she has connections as far as, and she said that played a big role in her decision. But I do think, again, I predict that Las Vegas will get back to the finals. But when you to sum it all up, I do think, and we all know. Let's just get it out. Let's just get it out the way. The Dearica Hamby posted as an investigation on the Las Vegas Aces and how they handled the situation with trading Dearica Hamby. She made a post on Instagram. I was in that Zoom call which was Candace Parker's press introductory, and it turned. I felt like we got away from that, and listen. There's three sides to every story. There's Dearica's side, Las Vegas's, and then there's the truth down the middle. So let the league handle it there. But there's a lot of questions. But I don't think that situation is going to derail this team. You know what Becky Hammon is. We all know the exceptional coach that she is. You're bringing in Alicia Clark as well. So the Aces are retooled and ready to compete. So, and Brenden, you're smiling. What was?
I completely forgot about Alicia Clark. I completely forgot. I love Alicia Clark. But no, really quick on the Amanda trade that happened to be the Dearica Hamby trade. I think they made that trade not knowing they were going to get Candace Parker. Like, I don't think Vegas knew they were going to get Candace Parker.
Yeah.
So, because they traded her like right away.
Yeah, I was surprised when that. And for what Washington gave up, we just gave up second round picks. Okay.
Yeah, they just gave her away.
It's not Amanda. I love Amanda. It's just second round picks. Like, okay. We do painfully have to talk about Chicago. I actually kind of consider them now winners because they did fix the situation in the aftermath of Asbury Stevens going to Los Angeles, Vandersloot going to New York, Allie Quigley sitting out, and Candace Parker. They got Marina Mabry in a 4-way trade. let's just go over the details. So Chicago will get Brenden Mabry, sign and trade, and the 22nd round pick from Phoenix. New York will get the rights to Leon Fibic from Chicago, a 2024 second round pick from Chicago, the rights to swap a 2025 first round pick with Phoenix. Phoenix will get Michaela Onyenwere, the 2024 third round pick, and a 2025 second round pick. And then Dallas will get Diamond DeShields, a 2023 first round pick, a 2024 first round pick, and the rights to swap 2025 first round picks, all first round picks from Chicago for Dallas with Diamonds. James Wade made some moves, but Mamina Mabry is more of a combo guard, and it begs the question: you're really taking a risk with mortgaging your future. I felt like the two in Dallas with her and Enrique Ngubawale, I think I'm surprised by that. I was surprised that they really just couldn't match the offer. But I do think she's going to fill hole that Vandersloot left. And then also too, you got Courtney Williams. So Courtney Williams, Marina Mabry, and Kalia Copper. That should be an interesting trio. Marina's in her prime, because it's definitely now James Wade's looking for her to be that player, because what you invested for her, you're asking for a huge investment back. So, Brenden, I'm coming to you. What were your thoughts on this four-way trade?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to unpack. First of all, on the Courtney Williams Kalia Copper pairing, we finally get to find out who had the ball. So that's number one. But on the trade, Chicago's taking a big risk here. And they better they got a big reward with an in your prime Marina Mabry, but they better hope it works out for them, because they traded their 2024 first round pick, and that is the draft, like all caps, bold letters. That is the draft, and when I say the draft, that's when you assumably have Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, Haley Van Lith. Like, you're gonna have a stacked draft class come out in 2024, and they don't get to pick that draft. It goes to Dallas. Guaranteed. So they better hope this Mabry thing works out for them and the direction of their franchise. So James Wade is taking a big gamble here, and I think it separates the GM from the coach aspect, with him having the same designation. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Chicago in this trade.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also too, we forgot about Emma Mason, because most likely she, with the Eurobasket ball starting in June, it's likely she won't be there the first half of that half of the season. So I think giving up your future, I mean, it's not that Marina can't contribute. It's what you're giving up. I think I just don't like. I don't like that. I really don't like the move. I think. And speaking of that, we're going to go to Dallas. And I know he's taking some flack as GM, but hey, give Greg Bibb his flowers. Give him some credit. He's got now Diamond DeShields. He's got Natasha Howard. Um, for me, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of Diamond DeShields. Working her way back. There was a health scare where there was a tumor in her spinal cord, and where she's worked back to where she's at now. I was able to ask her less for the overseas the training camp. I asked her about a question, getting to that point of what kept you going, especially through her experience with dealing with that moment. So you still have Rika Ngubawale, a healthy Setu Sabli is key, and then also too, I think you're going to get this year's defensive, and this is just a player to watch. Tiara McCowan will be Defensive Player of the Year and will make an all defensive WNBA team. Guaranteed. But other than that,
I like it.
and also too, Coach. She's on LA. I can't think of her name now. Coach Trammell. This is going to be her first year. So, and Dallas is already kind of prepared at the point guard. You got Jasmine Dickey, and you got Veronica Burton, who I think also too, who've shown flashes, especially when Enrique was silent with an injury. So, you also had Crystal Dangerfield. I feel bad, really quick. This is just a sidebar. I feel really bad for Crystal Dangerfield because ever since winning Rookie of the Year in the bubble, it's like there's no consistency for her. Like, I just feel bad for her. I really do. And I'm hoping that she has a stable home with Dallas. So I will, however, say that Charlie Collier, I'm hoping that this is the year for her. I do think I feel bad for Charlie because the entire 2021 WNBA draft class, I'm sorry, it just, they're not difference makers for any of these 12 teams, and it clearly shows. And it's being proven with the 2021 draft class. I think that has to be arguably the most disappointing draft class I've seen in quite some time. But what are your thoughts on Dallas?
Right, you gave I feel bad for Crystal Dangerfield. I was gonna give mine to Charlie Collier because, man, her career has just taken a big downfall ever since being selected number one, and whether it's her fault or not, like it's so disappointing, and I just feel bad for her. But like I stated earlier, I really love the Natasha Howard pickup from New York. A loss and a gain for Chicago that we missed on was Izzy Harrison. So that's I think that's an upgrade in terms of defense from going from Izzy Harrison to Natasha Howard. So I like that. I like that pickup. And then they got a couple of good picks in the next upcoming draft, and then the big one. And we'll see how Chicago fares out for them. But I think it's going to be an interesting. I wouldn't say it's a rebuild for Dallas. I'd say it's a retool. Man, first year head coach with Enrique Gumbawale. How's that going to work out? Oh man, but Tiara McCowan. I got a similar prediction when we get down the road. But I like where your head's at, and we'll see as we get down the road. But
for sure. But also too, I think this is also fair. I want to give Vicki Johnson her flowers on this as well. she had this team in the playoffs. I'm not going to ignore that. I just think that Greg Bibb, I don't know why he pulled the plug on that so quick. Guys, she did have this team in the playoffs. I'm not going to ignore that. But I do agree there's a retool, a rebuild. We're going to painfully give Indiana incomplete because they've really made no moves. They did resign Victoria Vivians. Danielle Robinson has departed. Tiffany Mitchell departed. I think Lynn Dunn knows what she's doing, and I'm going to hold her to that because we all know probably the number one overall pick. I'm sorry, but I have a conspiracy. You drafted Alyssa Smith and Queen Enegbo, and then you drafted Emily Inksler. If you draft Aaliyah Boston, somebody got to go. I see a wing player or a guard. Well, you drafted Lexi Hall, and I'll see what that looks like in year 2. But I just don't. You have the number one overall pick, and you drafted 3 front court players the year before. I'm sorry, it's a conspiracy. No,
I get it. We talked about Dallas being a retool. This is a rebuild in Indiana. Let's get that straight. But I mean, one of the other reasons why they haven't picked up anybody or lost anybody, they've lost a couple of players. But one of the reasons why they haven't picked up any players is because the roster is basically filled because they're full of now second-year players. But
yeah, pretty much.
I think for Indiana, it's a question of who's going to take that next leap, and that's a different story for a different day. But no, I think I mean you said it earlier, Lynn Dunn. You hope she knows what she's doing. I think she does know what she's doing. She's a great talent evaluator. She takes risks, and I think that's what she's shown in the last draft and during a given season. And this is a rebuild, and I think we should treat Indiana as a rebuild. But if they build the right way, Seattle built the right way, and they won 4 championships. So
I agree. I want to go to the city of Atlanta. Atlanta guy, I think was a big trade, good pickup for them. You're going to hear something I'm going to say when we get to statistics. So just hear me out on this one. So the Atlanta Dream trade Alicia Gray. So they get Alicia Gray in exchange for the 3rd overall pick and Atlanta's 2025 first round pick. Listen, we know what Alicia Gray is. She's a shooter. And you have Ari McDonald, who I think definitely under head coach Tanisha Wright improved. And I think that they have their big 3, Ari, Alicia, and Ryan, for years to come. We all know Cheyenne Parker is a solid center. And this is where, you bring in Danielle Robinson, who I think is who is a veteran pickup. Erica Wheeler is going to Indiana when it's signed with Indiana. That's the move they made was Indiana. Erica Wheeler going to Indiana. So you're getting. The only thing I lost is you lost Kyla Charles, who went to Seattle. I think Beatrice Montmapierre is a free agent. Kia Long obviously is retired. But when I look at what they still have some work to do, you have the 8th overall pick, and you've got some work to do because I think you need a power forward. Elizabeth Kitley could be a potential pick there. Obviously, with Asbury Stevens, she'd be good, but she's in Los Angeles. So there's still some good free agents out there. And I do think with some veteran additions, this would be a better team. I think down the stretch, what showed the most was shooting. Ryan Howard can't be the only one. But they also have Naz Hillman, who I'm hoping will be that second-year player for them. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Atlanta's I'd say a middle of the pack team. And I think they're gonna either be, this could either go like really good or really bad. But Ryan Howard, I want to see take a big step up. We know what she is, but I mean, she can be so much better, and her potential is through the roof, and she already expressed that this past year. Ari McDonald, I think will take a big step up, and it'll be interesting to see based on their losses and based on who they got in free agency, where they're going to be this upcoming season.
Great points. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick 30-second break with this song called Cushy. Cushy. And we're back. As we are transitioning, I don't know, I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry, my bad. As we're transitioning, we're down with 4 teams left of free agency, and we're going to talk. We're actually 5. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Sparks. I'm giving them a B+. I don't consider this a rebuild neither. I consider this a retool. Listen, they made some moves around Nneka Ogwumike. They, obviously getting Dearica Hamby when she comes back from maternity leave. We know that the type of player that she is. She can shoot the 3, good perimeter defender. You're bringing in Azri Stevens, who I think is a bit of an upgrade on that front court. You re-signed Lexi Brown, who I think is just a two-way player, can shoot the 3 and can defend multiple positions. I'll say 1 through 4 in my personal opinion. And then obviously Ray Burrell. I would love to know where Ray Burrell is in with Kurt Miller in his system. And then there's the obvious question. I feel bad for Kennedy Carter. I was also on that media call. It pretty much looks like Kennedy. I just don't understand what I need some answers on Kennedy Carter, because it just seems like, do we have types? This something? Are there pictures or what? Because I just feel bad for her, because she's never gotten a real opportunity to prove the type of player that she is. I think coming out of college, I think is a baller. And I just think, I don't know, I feel like it's just politics that are just truly holding her back from being great in this league. But I'm going to give the Sparks a B. This is clearly a retooling. We know the type of coach Kurt Miller is. We know that last year, same way they were there in the playoffs, and they have a draft pick thanks to trading to yours truly. So, what are your thoughts on the Sparks?
Yeah, I think I'm around the same range of a B plus for the Sparks. It'll be interesting to see how these different personalities mix with Kurt Miller. I have my reservations about Kurt Miller as a coach, and he has. I mean, he proved me wrong last year, bringing Connecticut to the finals. And I think Kurt Miller can guide these these players to whatever direction they're going in. Um, I do like the pickup of Azare Stevens, and that was a very interesting pick. And yeah, I give the Sparks around a B plus.
Let's move on to the Minnesota Lynx, who I considered very disappointing. I was really expecting Roofs to make some moves, but again, because of the contracts that they have currently on the roster, um, it's hard for them to really. This is clearly in the feast of Collier's team now that the great Sylvia Fowles is retired. Um, and last year was their first losing season since 2010. Um, you do have the second overall pick and the 12th overall pick. Um, so I think this draft will set the tone for long term success, for building success for Minnesota. Um, Other than that, I mean, the only really true pickup was Tiffany Mitchell, who I like, can shoot the three, good defender. Um, but that was the only really true move you made. Other than that, you didn't really make any other moves if you're Minnesota. What are your thoughts?
Right. I get that you're in a or that we're a little uh, uh confused, disappointed about Minnesota's lack of action, lack of action. But I think they're in a similar move or similar direction with Seattle, losing their two legends with Sylvie Fowles and Sue Bird on Seattle side. Um, they're in a new like dynasty building era. They're trying to rebuild the dynasty in Minnesota. Um, but I just think Seattle can do it better with the pieces that they have. Um, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what if Minnesota picks up someone that's worth their while or yeah. But it's just hard to tell. You could almost give them an incomplete like because they haven't really done that much. But
I do expect Haley Jones to be the second overall pick, and I'm staying strong with that. Um, it wouldn't phase me if Ashley Jones was picked by Minnesota, knowing um, Cheryl's draft record. I know one year she took Rachel Banham out of Minnesota, so it would not phase me coming out of Iowa State. Ashley Jones could be the second overall pick. That's just me. Also give Phoenix because of a couple things. Kia Nurse did depart to Seattle, who we'll get into a little bit, but they did re-sign Sophie Cunningham. They have not re-signed Diana Taurasi nor Brittany Griner. Um, they did get Michaela Onyeweide and a couple draft picks. Um, they did also re-sign Megan Gustafsson. So incomplete at the moment. What are your thoughts?
yeah, I feel like they're one of those teams who is just sitting. They're sitting back. Uh they know who is coming back. They know who's coming back with BG and Diana Taurasi. they just want to let the fire calm down and just watch sit back and watch the fireworks and then come in and do their work when the fireworks are over. But it's all kind of a formality for them. And sometimes that can backfire, and sometimes that can work out to your favor. But I feel like there's such a motive or a veteran organization. They're like, oh yeah, we've been another free agency. It's same old, same old, same old. Obviously, it's not in this case, but for them, I think it is. So I don't think there's any doubt that Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner will be back, and when they're officially back, it'll be interesting to see where this organization goes, and it'll be good to see Brittany Griner back on the court.
1,000% agree. I second all those thoughts. It's really interesting offseason, and also too, they're back. They're actually back in the first round for this year's draft, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do for sure. I'm going to give you the floor because this is your team and you cover them. The Seattle Storm. Floor's over.
Yeah, I'd say this is an accurate grade of a B. And it's because of the direction we're forced to go. We obviously had a big loss, or two big losses, you could say, with Stu Bird retiring and Breanna Stewart eventually leaving. Listen, the fan base has taken a big hit with these two losses. We are all thankful for Breanna Stewart and the success that she's brought. We're all thankful for Stu Bird and the success that she's brought as well. But it's time to go in an unfamiliar direction, and that's a rebuild. I think the thought process is you have to rebuild around Drew Lloyd. We brought in Kia Nurse. We brought in Kayla Charles from different teams. I think the biggest move that we made was getting Sammy Wickham back from New York. We got Ariel Gutierrez, I think that's how you pronounce her name. We also got Teresa Poisson, who I think she's gonna.
Ariella Garantes. Yes.
Garantes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I gotta pronounce the names right since she's on our team. But no, we got Teresa Poisson to play in the second unit, which should be interesting to say the least, to add depth to our front court. But two players that I'm excited to watch this year for Seattle are Ezzy McGregor. I'm very excited for the step up that she's about to take with the Breanna Stewart being departed. And then Jade Melbourne, our third round pick from last year, who sat out and played on Team Australia. And I'm assuming she will be back for the Storm this year with a lot of opportunity opening up at the point guard position. And I was actually on a call with Sammy Wickham in her media availability, and she said some very strong encouraging words on Jade, and good luck, basically saying good luck guarding her. And I completely agree with those sentiments, and I'm excited to watch Jade play. And we talked about the prioritization clause a little bit, and playing overseas, being a better route for some players. I think that's going to be the case for Gabby Williams. I would love to have her back. Adding to the youth movement in Seattle. She's only 26 years young. Ezzie McElgore is 23, which that's the biggest factor for her, the biggest advantage with her being so young. So I would love to have Gabby back, and I just think she's gonna make the decision to play overseas. It would be better financially for her, and little news flash, she's pretty freaking good. So the biggest highlight I wanted to say come back to was Ezzie McElgore. We were talking about Tierra McCowan in the Dallas segment, and you said defensive player of the year. My thing with Ezzie McElgore is give her 2 years at most. She will be the best defensive player in the league, and she is 23, and so I'm very happy that Seattle not only re-signed her, but signed her to a multi-year deal, because you need to rebuild around Ezzie McElgore and Jewel Lloyd, and this is how you do that. And Ezzie McElgore, if you develop her and don't pick up another center like you did Tina Charles, if you don't pick up Tina Charles, Ezzie McElgore wins Defensive Player of the Year, no question. But you picked up Tina Charles, and it kind of held up Ezzie back. So give Ezzie 1 to 2 years in a starting role, and she will be Defensive Player of the Year, and she will become the best defensive player in the WNBA, and she'll be there in Seattle.
Guaranteed.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I wanted to give him the floor because Brendan's a Seattle Storm fan, and I second all those thoughts. We're going to move on with the Washington Mystics. I gave them a B plus. I thought the acquisitions of Brittany Sykes and Chrissy Tolliver were big. It's a little bit of an upgrade from Alicia Clark. As much as Clark only was here for 1 year. We signed her the bubble. I was like, oh, okay, great. And then she got hurt overseas. And then coming into this year, she wasn't ready like the first 5-6 games. And then you look at her numbers this year, they dipped compared to her other years in Seattle and San Antonio. It was disappointing. And also, too, I think this is another retooling. It's weird that Mike Tebow will no longer be the head coach. His son, Eric T, will now be the head coach. I think getting Brittany Sykes, who can score and push the ball in transition, is arguably one of the best defenders along the perimeter, showed why she was a mid-all defensive team. And also you're getting Chrissy Tolliver, who is a three-point specialist and is also a defender. You did also make some other moves. You signed Stephanie Jones to a training camp contract. You re-signed Tiana Hawkins to a training camp contract. The biggest thing, and I will say this really quick, if Ryan Howard was a Washington Mystic, what I saw against Seattle in the playoffs and throughout the season, Ryan Howard's not fixing that. Shakira Austin was the right pick for this team. I get it. It's not, Ryan Howard's a great player. She's a generational talent. But you have to look at, in this system, if you had Ryan Howard on the Washington Mystics, the same problems, it's going to be the same exact thing. I just think you're getting a healthy Lena Deladon back. They're going to address it with this draft, because I personally believe Diamond Miller will be a Washington Mystic. I'm putting a guarantee on that. She will be the 4th overall pick, and it'll be the Washington Mystics.
Guaranteed.
And you essentially, you've also retooled your bench. You re-signed Shatria Walker-Kimbrough. You're getting. You also re-signed Davina Westbrook. Listen, as much as Rui Machida was a good point guard, but in Mike's system, you have to shoot the ball. And I don't know if it was a confidence thing. She's a pass-first guard. The flashy passes are great, but it's all about pass first. And then you get Amanda Zahui, who I think is an upgrade from Elizabeth Williams. She can defend the perimeter, but she can shoot amongst the perimeter. I think Elizabeth Williams is more of a defensive-minded forward. So I think getting Amanda is a great, great pickup. And I think this is fair to give the Washington Mystics. And then with the draft coming up, Brenden and I were also going to be talking with March Madness. And hopefully that we'll have him back on here for the mock draft for the 2.0 for WNBA. But, I mean, that was pretty much our draft, our so far free agency recap. I pretty much, Brenden, you can agree with me, it's safe to say that free agency is over. I think we all know now it's getting ready for the draft.
Right. I mean, we talked about Phoenix and their free agent moves of Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. That's a formality. They'll be back over there. But other than that, yeah, free agency's pretty much over. And I wanted to go back to Seattle really quick. If I didn't, I have say the identity. It's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. We have to rebuild the dynasty, and I think rebuilding around Essie McLaughlin and Jewel Lloyd is the right direction. It's something to watch with Seattle really quick is Jewel Lloyd's on a 1 year contract. She'll be a free agent after next season. So that'll be interesting to watch if she stays with Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart gone. I think you nailed it right on the head with Washington. Something underrated about that Amanda pickup is you didn't have to give up much draft capital because Vegas was just giving her away because, again, I don't think they thought they were going to get Candace Parker. But no, I think this is it's a very interesting WNBA offseason.
For sure.
To say the least. Some winners and some losers. I think a lot of losers are going to be the fan bases of Chicago, of Seattle, of other. And on the other side, winners are Vegas and New York. And you got to give New York fans credit here, man. They called the Breanna Stewart signing. They knew that Breanna Stewart was going to go to New York, and Seattle fans were in denial, and they nailed it right on the money. So, you just got to give them their flowers and let them enjoy it because Breanna Stewart brings a lot of success.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what actually going to end the episode here. Be tuned for future episodes. Please like, comment, subscribe. I will leave Brendan's Twitter page in the description. I'll also leave the link to the articles, to the website, WNBA Lead, where he writes for the Seattle Storm. But until then, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No. It's not hard to fool me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah. Lead the way. I follow. No need to say. Tell you